Two holidays are only. Which is a fantastic feeling.
I can't hear anything.
What's that?
David said you can't hear. Yeah, I should say.
Hello, hello.
I can now, thank you. You've just unmuted yourselves. I thought, well, I have to watch this whole meeting in mute. But no, thank you, guys.
Okay, well, welcome everyone. And as we always do, I'd like to start the meeting by acknowledging the traditional normal people on whose land we're gathered here today. And just let everyone know in the room, the one public member we have, is that right?
Yeah.
Neve, this meeting will be live streamed, and a recording of the meeting will be made. So item 2 is a record of attendance. Apologies and leave of absence previously approved. We have all councillors and staff in attendance, with the Deputy Mayor, Councillor Gillen, online tonight. 3 is public question time. No questions. 4 is petitions, deputations and presentations. Councillor Furlong, or Gillian Furlong from Dampier Community Association provided a deputation to the council at the public briefing last week in relation to 10.5, which is the multi-year funding request for Dampier Community Association. We also had a deputation from Zach Green, the storyteller chef, and Nikki Jacob, who gave us some information on 11.1, the major event sponsorship and attraction program. Item 5 is the request for leave. Request for leave for the next council meeting. Nope. 6 is declarations of interest, of which we have a few. So we start with Councillor Furlong. What is your declared interest?
I have a financial interest in item 10.5, as I am currently employed by the Dampier Community Association.
Thank you. Councillor Gillam, you also have a declaration of interest.
I do in item 17.1 because my husband is currently employed by Rio Tinto.
None. You also have a few declarations of interest.
Yeah. But I'm happy to share.
Yeah.
10.3, I unfortunately have an indirect financial interest because one of those members is a financial member of Volunteering WA. I also had an indirect with lots of others. 17.1, I have an indirect financial interest due to my husband working for Rio Tinto and my partnership with Rio Tinto and Volunteering WA. And I have an impartiality for item 10.5 as Dampier Community Association is a regional affiliate of Volunteering WA.
Yes, I just have an impartiality interest, as both my sisters work for Rio Tinto and my brother-in-law for item 17.1.
Thank you. I have a declared interest in item 10.3, large community grants. The first one was around being a committee member for Balkan Lottery House that weren't successful, but the second one is as the CEO of RDA Pilbara. RDA was successful through our Children for Community contract we have. They were successful in getting it right out of that. So I will be leaving the room during that debate as for you. RDA.
Okay, it's is it 10.5? Is it? 10.3? 10.3. Okay. Yes.
I have one second one.
Second one.
Yes. 17.1. I have an indirect financial as my partner is employed by Rio Tinto.
Yeah. Councillor Swartman, nothing. Councillor Roots, nothing.
17.1. Yeah. So indirect financial interest. My partner working for Rio Tinto.
Councillor Jansen. Only one, mate. I too have a declaration of interest for item 11.1, which is the major events attraction program for Staircase to the Moon. I have a direct financial interest as my business is a partner in the event, so I will be leaving the room. Okay, 7 is the confirmation of minutes and business arising from minutes of previous meetings. With the officer's recommendation, that's we receive the minutes. Can I ask someone move? Councillor Simpson. Someone to second the motion. Councillor Walsh-Muller. No one against the motion. Motion is carried. 8 is announcements by a person presiding that discussion. The list of meetings I had through March. 9 is the corporate and commercial reports, with 9.1 being the statements for the period ended 28th of February 2025. The office recommendation on page 9, and that is that council received the financial statements for the period ending 28th of February 25, as shown in attachments 1 through 4. Someone move this motion. Councillor Simpson, someone to second the motion. Councillor Roots. Is anyone against the motion? Councillor Simpson, would you like any comments, anything to say?
All good, Mr. Mayor. Just to acknowledge our director's doing a great job. Still, all the arrows are going up, which is always good to see, and returns on also our cash as well is all good. So I'm happy.
Okay, so that motion is carried. 9.2 is the list of accounts from the 1st of February 25 to 28th of February 25. The officer's recommendation on page 18. And that is that council received the list of payments totaling just over $10 million, as detailed in attachments 1, 2, and 3, and being made up of the table below from 1 to 7. Someone move the list of accounts. Councillor Mullen, someone to second it. Councillor Furlong. Is anyone against that motion? Councillor Mullen. Any comments on the list of accounts?
No, just thanks for the staff for some of those responses we asked at the last briefing. So questions were answered. Thank you.
Excellent. Satisfied? Yeah. That motion is carried. 9.3 is the investments for period ended 20th of February 2025. With the officer's recommendation on page 22, as the council received the investment report for the financial period ended 28th of February 2025. Someone move this motion. Councillor Simpson, someone to second the motion. Councillor Swaffer. Anyone against the motion? Councillor Simpson, anything to say in relation to our investments?
All going good, Mayor. All travelling for our tracking.
Well, that motion is carried. 9.4 is the 2025 local government ordinary election. The officer's recommendation on page 30, and that is that the council, 1, declare in accordance with section 4.20 of the Local Government Act 1995, the WA Electoral Commissioner to be responsible for the conduct of the 2025 ordinary election, together with any other elections or polls which may be required. And 2, decide in accordance with section 4.61 of the Local Government Act 1995 that the method of conducting the election will be a postal election. Can I have someone move that motion? Councillor Roots, you'll second it. Councillor Nunn. Is there anyone against this motion? Councillor Roots, anything to say in relation to the ordinary election coming up?
If I could, and I'd like to be concise, I really hope that we get a lot of people in the community engaging and making sure to talk to lots of members who are engaged, put their hand up. Also, I just know that we've been going through with the executive how many projects are already on the run, and yeah, we're privy to the constraints of capacity. So I think it's really important that we do respect that, you know, the best outcome is a postal vote so that we can get administration continuing on with the work that they're doing.
Roots, I agree. Councillor Nunn, anything to say in relation to the ordinary election?
Happy to support the outsourcing of the election, with the hope that staff will be able to spend some time promoting the election in our community, particularly in our outlying groups.
I would agree. Our numbers of voters that turn out for council elections are much lower than our metro counterparts. So it would be good if the community could come out and get involved, and we have some people put their hand up who want to be involved in all the decision making and all the planning we're doing for this city. All right, so if that is all, that motion has carried. 9.5. 9.5 is the reserve review, 25-26, with the officer's recommendation on page 38. And that is that council, by a simple majority, agree to close the following reserves: the A, carry forward budget reserve, B, the community development reserve, C, the mosquito control reserve, D, the restricted funds reserve, and E, the workers' compensation reserve. And 2, resolve to establish a Woodside Partnership Reserve for the purpose of funding partnership agreement activities within the city. B, establish a strategic reserve for the purpose of quarantining revenue funds that relate to contentious issues, projects or programs. C, rename the Partnership Reserve to Rio Tinto Partnership Reserve. And D, remove the wording and the funding of employee entitlements out of the purpose of the aerodrome and the waste management reserves. And that also the council by absolute majority approve the changes to use of the money in a reserve account for another purpose and provide public notice of the same for the following reserves. A community development reserve, B, restricted funds reserve, and C, a workers' compensation reserve. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Swaffer, some of the second. Councillor Simpson. Is anyone against this motion? So Swaffer, would you like to speak for?
I think it's great that we've reviewed and simplified this process and to make the management of it internally easier to manage and straightforward.
Lots of buckets of money, isn't there? Okay, thanks to Councillor Swaffer. There's no one against. That motion has carried. All right, 9.6 is the 2025-26 proposed fees and charges advertising. And the officer's recommendation is on page 46, and that is that council endorsed the 2025-26 draft schedule of fees and charges as detailed in attachment 1 for advertising and invites submissions. Someone please move this motion. Councillor Simpson, come to second. Councillor Swaffer. Anyone against the proposed fees and charges advertising? Councillor Simpson.
I think, I won't get this out and advertise it so we can closer to our budget. A bit like the item before with our reserves funds, tidying up and getting ready, and then we get this rolling so we can get into our budget process. So, get this out to advertising, be good.
Yep, Councillor Swaffer.
Yeah, I just like to it's positive to see it coming through earlier so that we have the opportunity to review it prior to the end of June and be able to provide that time for the community to also review it. I think it's great.
Yeah, great to see a few fees and charges reducing. Which is good. Also some going up, but we won't talk about that too much. All right, if there's no one against that motion, it is carried. All right, 9.7 is write-off of sundry debtor charges with the officer's recommendation on, oh, hang on a second. I don't need to reboot my computer yet.
Do that later.
Okay, officer's recommendation on page 51. Is the council resolved by absolute majority to 1, write off $520,047 being the outstanding balance for Virgin Australia Airlines. 2, write off $73,176 being the outstanding balance for Noel Bartholomew. 3, write off $54,214 being the outstanding balance for Flex Cafe. 4, write off $41,593 being the outstanding balance for Frank Smith. And 5, write off $25,122 being the outstanding balance for Move Your Body Studio. Someone move this motion. Councillor Furlong, give a second. Councillor Swaffer. Anyone against this motion? No, Councillor Furlong. Any comments on our writing off these debts?
Well, it's never a nice thing to write off any debts, but I think the staff have really exhausted every avenue, and some of these have been on council for a very extended period of time. So it's nice to, it's not nice, but it's necessary to move on.
So for any comments?
The only thing I'd like to add is, I suppose, internally, how do we ensure that some of these owners don't come back and rework in the city of Karratha or engage in other business, or how we manage that as well to ensure that the write-off isn't then, recaptured. So I'm not sure how that question comes across. Yeah, so perhaps if I can just respond to
Sure.
that, Chair. So
I was about to, but you're in a better position.
would
to
you
do
mind?
that. Yeah.
I'm happy to help out. But what I'd suggest, Councillor Swaffer, is if it relates to a business and we've had a business relationship, then that would be easily managed in that whenever we go through a business contract or a supply contract, part of that process involves understanding whether or not there has or was a debtor relationship. When it comes to, so I think that probably responds to your questions. If it's an individual, it's not as easy to do, of course.
That's all the comments for the motion, and there's no one against. That motion has carried. 9.8. 9.8 is the annual electors meeting minutes and consideration of decisions, with the officer recommendation on page 56. And that is that Council 1 received the minutes of the annual electors meeting, which was held on the 24th of March 2025, provided in attachment 1. 2, acknowledge that the contents of the City of Karratha annual report 2023-24, including the audited annual financial report for the year ended 30th of June 2024, has been accepted. And 3, note that motions carried at the annual electors meeting will be put forward for council consideration at the May 2025 ordinary council meeting. May I have someone move this motion? Councillor Walsh-Muller. I'm going to second it. Councillor Simpson. Is anyone against this motion? And Councillor Walsh-Muller.
It's just fantastic turnout at our annual electors meeting. Great questions and motions put forward, and really great to see it be completed in May's meeting.
Yeah. Councillor Simpson, speak for.
I just add to that. I think it's good to see annual elections meeting to see so many people here. It's really good.
Yeah, well, it was great. I'm looking forward to seeing what the officers' reports are on the motions put forward.
Just note for next time we need more time.
Yes, we next. I think next year we will hold the annual electors meeting separately to any other meetings that function within local government. Okay, there's no one against that motion. That motion has carried. 10 community experience reports. With 10.1 being the waiver of meeting room hire fees for the Jugawalu Art Group, with the officer's recommendation on page 59. As the council approved a fee waiver of $6,156, including GST, for the hire of a meeting room at the Karratha Tourism and Visitor Centre for 8 weeks, starting from the 7th of May 2025 for the Mayalari exhibition. I have someone move this motion. Councillor Simpson. Someone to second it. So Walsh-Muller. Is anyone against this motion? Councillor Simpson, would you like to speak for the motion?
Thanks, Mayor. I think this is a great opportunity to showcase Pilbara, particularly around Roebourne, great city of Karratha, and the great artwork that's out there. Anything to do to help, that'd be really good. It's great to see we'll have a display for a number of weeks. It should be good. So, yeah.
Councillor Walsh-Muller.
Yeah, just a good use of space that is underutilised at the moment, so it'd be good to make that active space for the exhibition.
Yeah, I'd agree. It's a very, very underutilised space. So it'll be interesting to see how it works, and if it does work, what we can do in the future then to continue to fill that space and make use of it. Okay, if there's no one against that motion, it is carried. 10.2 is the draft community infrastructure plan for 2025 to 2035, with the officer's recommendation on page 63. And that is the council agreed to advertise the community infrastructure plan 2025 to 35 for public comment for a 4-week period, and to request administration to present a summary of public comment back to council in July 2025, along with the final community infrastructure plan for 2025 to 2035. I have someone move this motion. Councillor Nunn, someone second it. Councillor Roots. Is anyone against this motion? Councillor Nunn, would you like to speak for it?
No, yes, I will speak for it. Really pleased that this report has come to fruition. I think there's some really great outcomes in there. somebody mentioned last week, it'd be really great to ensure that we declare it as a draft plan, to make sure that we do get that feedback back from the community to make sure it is meeting everyone's expectations. And for the person that asked about the Wickham Golf Club, it's been defunct for about 13 years. So it's not an asset, it's a
Was on the agenda
Scotland.
for the people. Wigan.
I was trying to speak up. We could.
Yeah, and I appreciate it, but I did laugh at it. So I was like, oh, I've more than assets. But yes, really looking forward to seeing the community response.
Thank you, Councillor Nunn. Councillor Roots, got to speak for the motion.
I'll just echo Councillor Nunn, and yeah, definitely looking forward to, as our CEO mentioned, this becoming a awareness of our community that we are genuinely trying to get their feedback. So hopefully that will sort of change the expectation that we will send things out for draft and continue to get the feedback.
Yeah, thank you. And if all those tens of thousands of people tuning in online, it's important this is a draft community infrastructure plan, and we do need your feedback, and including the councillors, there's still an opportunity for those around the table as well to provide feedback as we all go through this document in a bit more finer detail and consider it. Okay, if there's no one against that motion, it is carried. 10.3 is large community grants. What else? Let's see. Okay. Large community grants. The officer's recommendation on page 71. That is, a council approved the following applicants to receive funding under the large community grants scheme. And that is to fund the Nickel Bay Sporting Shooters Association, their Turning Target project to the amount of $18,000. The Karratha Arts and Learning Centre grade project to the tune of $50,000. Karratha Rodeo Incorporated for the Karratha Roburn Rodeo for $50,000. Volleyball WA for WA Volleyball League Regional Round, $23,327. The Norwest Jockey Club, the Roburn Racers Ladies Day, 2025, $50,000. St John Ambulance WA, Wellbeing Walkabout, $15,845. The Nickel Bay Sports Fishing Club, or Build Fish Shootout 2025, $20,000. RDA Pilbara for the Young Karratha Change Agents, $48,500. The Karratha Cats Football and Sporting Club, Solar Project, $50,000. The Murrujuga Aboriginal Corporation, Women's Cultural Learning, $32,307. A subtotal of $358,042. And decline the following applicants to receive funding under the large community grant scheme, and that is the Karratha Central Healthcare for their Building Refresh project, the Northwest Multicultural Association for their Multicultural Festival, the Karratha Women's Place for the expansion of women's mental health support, Karratha Community House for the KCH Revive, Building Brighter Spaces, Nickel Bay Speedway Club for the Sprint Car Stampede 2025, Welcome Lotteries House Men's Bathroom Expansion, the Karratha Shotokan Karate Club, their travel for state championships, St Luke's College, the resurface of the basketball courts, the Andina Community Services, Roburn Youth Centre, air conditioning repairs and refurbishment, and Karratha BMX Club, clubhouse install and refurbishment. Can someone move this motion?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, I'm just wondering if I needed to potentially declare a impartiality. My kids play for the Karratha Cats Football Sporting Club.
I wouldn't think so, as it's a generic, community-wide, anyone's kids are involved in sport. Sort of, but with clarification.
Yeah, through the mayor, I'd probably err on the side of caution, to be honest, because if it is a direct family member and they're a club member,
They wouldn't be a financial member.
correct. I think, and you're quite correctly, I think, calling it impartiality.
Oh, yeah, so if it's impartial, then
Yeah.
we can take that. We don't have to, sorry, I was thinking,
That's
we
okay.
have to leave the room, but no, you don't have to
That's
walk
correct.
away, but leave the
So,
room.
but no, that apologies. I should have said that earlier.
Okay,
just didn't
so
know
the
that.
impartiality for Councillor Swatha.
Sorry, okay.
Okay, back on track. So I'm going to move the motion. Councillor Walsh-Muller. So I'm going to second the motion. Councillor Furlong. Anyone against the motion? Got to speak for the motion?
Yes, I think living in the city of Karratha, we're very fortunate. We've got one of the largest grant funds within one of the shires. Here. So I think our community's very lucky that where they live, we do give out a lot of money to our not-for-profits and community groups. It's always very hard for obviously the staff to work through all these. I know the staff do spend a lot of time in the background talking to the people, especially the ones that didn't receive any funding this round, but they are very good at working with those community groups. There is a lot, and obviously we've only got so much money, but it is good to see some new things get off the ground as well. So that should be money well spent. We'd love to see these events getting off happening in the Pilgrim.
Thank you, Councillor Walsh-Muller. Councillor Furlong.
Yeah, I'd agree certainly with a lot of what Joel said. I can't hear it. But also it's good to acknowledge that they are supporting, these non-for-profits are supporting us to make the community a better place. So unfortunately we can't give to everybody. So I thank the staff for taking the opportunity and the time really to look at all of the applications and consider the best ones at this time.
Yeah, Councillor Furlong. And also note that sometimes there's new applicants that might not meet the conditions of the grant, but they're unaware of it. So the team will work with those applicants and those people that had non-compliance and sort of their application, that we can work with them for the future to ensure that we're supporting them as well. So if there's no one against that motion, it is carried. And that motion is passed. All right. Which one was David?
17.
Okay, 10.4 is the Karratha Sporting and Recreation Club Incorporated Rental Appeal for the officer's recommendation on page 77. That is that council uphold the proposed annual rental fee of $6,548.40 plus GST and outgoings for the Karratha Sporting and Recreation Club in accordance with council's community leasing of land policy CS25. Someone move this motion. Councillor Roots, someone second that. Councillor Walsh-Muller. Is anyone against this motion? Councillor Roots, would you like to speak for the motion?
Certainly. I happen to live within earshot, and certainly after Anzac Day celebrations, it really does support a lot of the community. So I think it's important where we're able to uphold existing agreements. I think that's really important to be able to do that, especially for a not-for-profit who looks after the community.
Councillor Roots. Councillor Walsh-Muller.
Obviously, we worked through our community leasing policy a while ago, and it's always hard to come up with the right formula. But I think we have to be fair across the board with our leasing agreements, and it was at $545 per month is still quite a reasonable fee. I don't think it's too excessive. So I think moving forward, it'd be great for the club to know what those fees are moving forward when they sign a new lease. So.
Walsh-Muller. If there's no one against that motion has carried. Okay, 10.5. The funding request. Councillor Furlong up in the room. Okay, the multi-year funding request for the Dampier Community Association with the officer's recommendation on page 82. And that is we approve a 3-year funding request of $101,500 to Dampier Community Association for the following 5 major annual community events. The Dampier Art Awards, $21,500. The Dampier Beachside Markets, $32,000. The Dampier Photography Awards, $21,500. The Dampier Sunset Movies, $10,500. And the Dampier Quill Quest, $16,000, and 2 approve a budget allocation of $101,500 excluding GST, per year for 3 years from the large community grants budget commencing in 2025-26 financial year. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Roots, and second it. Councillor Swaffer. Anyone against this motion? Councillor Roots, would you like to speak for the motion?
Yes, having had the pleasure of organising events that are quite similar to some of what DCA have requested funding for, I'd like to say that I feel like these amounts are really quite reasonable. Having been a member of community and been along to a lot of these, I think that they're exceptional value for money. And I think my favourite thing about it is throughout all 5 events that the DCA have requested for, apologies, that they cover such a broad range of our community to be able to get involved and enrich just the outside of life, outside of industry. So, we talk about more than mining. Well, I think that this is such a wonderful long-term initiative. And for organisers of events, I understand, it's great to have that security to be able to plan and also develop these events. So I think it's a really important.
Absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Roots. Councillor Swaffer, would you like to speak for the motion?
Yeah, just to echo Councillor Roots, and I think it's really great that, beachside markets are a free event that the community does get to enrich themselves in, and it's great to see these continue and be provided year after year. It's disappointing when you see some of them fall off the wayside just due to funding. So it's really great that, again, this has been put on for minimum 3 years, and hopefully, find that sort of partnership funding so that it can continue.
Yeah, well, the Dampier Community Association is a fantastic group, and they've delivered year after year after year after year after year after year, not just for the Dampier community, but for the wider city of Karratha community. So fantastic that they're there providing for our community. So there's no one against that motion. That motion has carried. That motion was carried.
Thank you.
Okay, 11.1 is the major event sponsorship attraction program, of which I have a direct financial interest. So we need someone to chair the meeting. Now, Councillor Walsham-Muller has offered to do the job. So if everyone's in agreement with that, I need someone to move that we allow Councillor Walsham-Muller. Councillor Furlong. Someone to second it? Councillor Nunn. No one against Joe chairing the meeting? No? Well, that motion is carried. We'll vacate the room, and you can do it from your chair, okay? Unless you'd like to come. Yeah, my mouse, it's open to the screen, so just scroll down.
Use the hammer. Use the gavel. Keep us in order.
So item 11.1 is a major event sponsorship and attraction program proposed sponsor for Stairgates to Move for the Story dealership. So the officer's recommendation is that the council approve sponsorship funding to the storyteller chef for 1 year for the Staircase to the Moon. So the organiser name is the Storyteller Chef for 2024-25. Project name is Staircase to the Moon, and the grant amount is for $29,500 excluding GST. Can I have someone to move this motion? Yeah, Councillor Simpson. And someone a second? Yeah, got Councillor Roots. Is anyone against this motion? The motion was passed. This is what has to do.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Pass. Good enough work anyway. Okay. We have to 2. Okay, 11.2 is the initiation of scheme amendment number 60 to the City of Karratha Local Planning Scheme number 8, omnibus amendment, with the office recommendation on page 93, and that is that we prepare the scheme amendment number 60 of the City of Karratha Local Planning Scheme number 8 in accordance with attachment 1 pursuant to section 75 of the Planning and Development Act 2025, and 2, we classify proposed scheme amendment number 60 as a standard amendment pursuant to part 5 division 1 of regulations 34 and 35 of the Planning and Development Regulations 15 for the following reasons. A is proposed amendments are generally consistent with the objectives of the City of Karratha's planning scheme number 8. B, the proposal is generally consistent with the endorsed local planning strategy. C, the amendments include, now I'm running through this because we are unconscious that we have people online. So, yeah, unlike previous where we can skim things. The proposed amendments are unlikely to cause any adverse impacts on the environmental, social and economic context of the city. E, the amendments include the normalisation of structure planning under the City of Karratha's local planning scheme number 8. And 3, authorise the city to forward the proposed local planning scheme amendment number 60 to the Environmental Protection Authority pursuant to section 81 of the Planning and Development Act 2005. And 4, note the intention to revoke the following structure plans pursuant to regulations 35A of the Planning and Development Regulations 2015 upon approval of the proposed scheme amendment number 60. With the table there of the structured plan areas DA9, DA40, DA45, with their addresses being Dampier Road, West Karratha, and lots 617 Shabbat Drive, Mill as well, lot 613 Watherspoon Road, Mill as well. All right, and those are all I run through. Someone to that motion. Councillor Nunn, someone to second the motion. Councillor Simpson, anyone against the motion? Councillor Nunn, would you like to speak for our omnibus amendment to amendment number 60, planning scheme number 8?
I would really like to congratulate the staff. It's a huge piece of work. And I'm sure they're really pleased that it's finally sitting out. So, thank you. So.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Nunn. Councillor Simpson, was it?
Is it?
Yeah, I too would thank the planning team on this one. What a monster amount of work that team's going through at the moment. Short staffed and just bringing us up to speed really with our planning. And I don't know when you read through this and those people listening online, but one of the key things I noticed is that we've updated the planning scheme so that in the city centre area, the service stations have been updated, and we no longer, or we have made sure that we have planning. Give me the word, permissibility for service stations within our CBD, which I think is a great outcome. Okay, if there's no one against that motion, it is carried. 12 is projects and infrastructure reports, with 12.1 being the early acquisition of long lead time fleet and plant items, with the officer's recommendation on page 101. The council endorsed the early order of fleet and plant items listed in this report, and 2, approved by absolute majority an allocation of $1.64 million to fund the early order of fleet and plant items that will be delivered as part of the 2025-26 budget. Someone move this motion? Councillor Simpson, someone second it? Councillor Nunn. Anyone against the motion? Councillor Simpson, would you like to speak for the motion?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think one of the key issues at the moment with lead time on any equipment is taking so much more longer, and I think with our current rules around when they can order the machine, money allocated to, by allowing this, they can get in front of it. So obviously the machine we're going to replace can be replaced at the time it should be, not waiting another 12 months and the vehicle being, or machinery being older, and of course less resale value. So this is a really good outcome where they can hopefully get in front of that. And also you have to order machinery these days, you've got to be a long way in advance of lead time. So it does that, release those funds, we get onto it, and hopefully maintain a good fleet of vehicles and equipment.
Great. Drive past Pilbara Toyota, you can't even see a Land Cruiser. There's no trip carriers, there's nothing there. Right, you got to buddy order it in, choose your paint colour, and then it gets delivered. Councillor Nunn, would you like to speak for the motion?
I agree. I think we live in a day and age where a 12-month budget period doesn't always meet the requirements. The lead time is becoming an issue, so I'm happy to support.
So none. There's no one against that motion. It is carried. 12.2 is the playground revitalisation, Tambrain Church Way Park tender outcome. The officer's recommendation on page 105, and that is a council accepted tender submitted by For Park Australia as the most advantageous tender to form a contract. RFT 7, and authorise the Chief Executive Officer to execute a contract with For Park Australia subject to any variations of a minor nature. And 3, approved by absolute majority of budget amendment to deliver the playground revitalisation at Tambray Park and Churchway Park. Works valued at $580,000, excluding GST, as tabled in the table below. Someone move that motion. Simpson, someone to second it. Councillor Furlong. Is anyone against the motion? Councillor Johansson. Councillor, who was the second? Councillor Simpson, would you like to speak for the motion?
Thank you. Yeah. One of the key issues for our community is our play areas and community areas. And it's great to see that we're renewing, placing, and adding. So it's really important to do that to make sure we enhance those playing areas, make them much more more inviting for the children in our community to go to.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Councillor Johansson, would you speak against the motion?
Yeah, I think enhancing the equipment is a good thing, but the problem is what we're putting in is not an enhancement. I took my playground inspectors along to both of these playgrounds over the school holidays, and quite frankly, they prefer these older style playgrounds. They're a better playground. They're more for the kids. We went past one of the new ones on Miles Loop. What they've upgraded to, it's not suitable. It's a playground for sissies, really. Like it. And the other stuff that's there was another thing for wet mold sand area, like a piece that was there, and there was no tap around to make wet sand anyway. The other thing was, it says the 10-year replacement strategy. One of the playgrounds was 8 years old. The other one was going into 19 years old. And the 19-year-old one was the kids' favourite of the two. And when you've got playgrounds that can last 19 years, why are we replacing them at 8 years when they're both the same make and facility? I think upgrading facilities is a good thing, but I think we should be doing it like looking forward to what the community actually wants, like an outdoor splash park area, which that Flannel Bush one is a great location for it. It's already fairly established in its grass areas, barbecue area, trees that are there. I think it's something, rather than just go and replace the basic playground that's there, we should seriously be looking into turning that into an outdoor splash area. The other thing is people have changed the way they use these parks now. In the old days, people used to go to their little park down the corner of the street, but not many people do that anymore. Like over the 4 days, mornings and afternoons that we were there was only one other family that was at one of these parks, and it was the Tambray one. People now load the kids in the car and they go to one of these parks where there's more on offer. You know, they go to the Dampier, they go to Bain West, they go to Bulgara where there's, you know, a bit more to facilitate keeping the kids entertained. These smaller parks at these, you know, hidden street locations aren't really used much anymore. So that's why we should not stress about wasting, you know, the money on upgrading them when the facilities that are there are fine, and look at spending the money on an outdoor splash park at the one location that would best facilitate it.
Councillor Johansson. Councillor Furlong, would you like to speak for?
Well, after listening to Councillor Johansson, he makes some pretty good points, really. I don't have small kids, and I think they're the judge really of parks. So I think maybe it's something that I don't think I'm going to vote with it at the moment. I've changed my mind.
Okay, well, is there, in that case, is there, well, the speaker for, Councillor Simpson, do you get anything further you'd like to add for the motion?
No, no, I think we've added it all.
Councillor Johansson, anything to say in rebuttal that you haven't said already?
No, I think I said most of it. Like, I just think it's time to start giving the community what they want. It's a great location for it. Why don't we actually look at, you know, doing something better than what's already there, rather than putting in facilities that are of a dumbed down version and, you know, not suitable for all ages. That was the big thing that was, you know, picked up on.
Well, thank you. So we're going to speak for, speaking against, some information from Councillor Johansson that people are considering. With the Director for Projects and Infrastructure, like to add any further commentary to this?
Yeah, through the chair, I concur with Councillor Johansson's, I guess, sentiment in terms of for improvements. I guess that this project is an asset renewal project and maintaining our existing assets. It's a local park. It's not a district or a regional level park. And so the engagement that's been done, whether flawed or not, has been more localised in and around that community. So there are criteria for local parks in terms of distance to get to that local park. So I guess that's the basis as to why this tender's come about, notwithstanding that planning for other facilities in other locations or in this location could still occur.
Okay. Thank you, Simon. Yeah, and I guess as well, you know, we've got that community infrastructure plan that's going out that has all of these things that have been set on the table in there of planning for the future. And we all have the ability to be a part of that. And as the director said, you know, if for those that don't know, there is a tier of parks around the city of Karratha where there are A grade, you know, B, C, D, and then they get determined on the level of amenity and infrastructure that goes towards that park. Right, okay, so we put it to the vote. All those in favour of the motion? 1, 2, 3, 4. In favour 5. Councillor Gillam 6. And those against? So 2. So it's carried 7 to 2. Thank you all. Okay, 12.3 is the Karratha Back Beach General Maintenance Tender outcome. The officer's recommendation on page 109, and that is that council accept the tender submitted by PCN Group as the most advantageous tender to form a contract based on assessment of compliance criteria, quality criteria, and pricing structured offered under RFT 20 for the Karratha Back Beach Jetty Maintenance. And 2, authorise the CEO to execute a contract with PCN Group subject to any variations of a minor nature. And 3, approved by absolute majority, bless you, an increased budget allocation of 367,500 in the 24-25 budget to be funded from the infrastructure reserve to deliver the Karratha Back Beach Jetty Maintenance, resulting in a no net impact to the 24-25 budget surplus deficit. Someone move this motion, please. Councillor Roots, someone to second the motion. Councillor Simpson. Is anyone against the motion? No. Councillor Roots, would you like to speak for the motion?
Not a C person myself, but I really did appreciate the extensive explanation on this one. And I understand the importance of maintaining the assets. I think it's important to get it started.
Councillor Roots. Councillor Simpson. No. Ongoing maintenance, Karratha Back Beach, it's important. It's amazing how often that silts up that yes. All right. There's no one against. That motion is carried. 12.4 is the provision of graffiti removal, a request to call for tender. The officer's recommendation on page 114. And that is that council agree to invite tenders for the provision of graffiti removal for a period of 3 years with a 1 year extension option, exercisable the sole discretion of the city, and call for the scope of works as outlined in this report. Can someone move this motion? Councillor Nunn, someone to second the motion? Councillor Johansson. Anyone against the motion? Councillor Nunn, would you like to speak for the motion?
Yeah, always keen to see how the market is working. But in terms of the actual tender itself, I have reported much graffiti over the last 8 to 10 years. So it's a really important service that we provide, and I think we do it really well.
Thank you, Councillor Nunn. Councillor Johansson, would you like to speak for the motion?
Yeah, just having worked for one of these graffiti removal companies before, it's good to see that we respond pretty quick to people's reports of graffiti. And it's something that I'm proud that we keep on top of, keep the town looking clean and tidy.
Councillor Johansson. Yeah, it's often better to get on top of these things quickly to deter them. Right, if there's no one against that motion, it is carried. 12.5 is the crossover area access ways policy review, TE06, with the officer's recommendation on page 118, and that is that council adopt amended council policy TE06, crossovers and access ways, as attached to this report. Can someone move this motion? Councillor Simpson, someone to second the motion? Councillor Walsh-Muller. Is anyone against this motion? Councillor Simpson, would you like to speak for
Yes.
crossovers?
I know this has been an issue throughout our city in certain blocks trying to get access, and it's good now we've got a policy in place so we can actually resolve this issue for a number of those landowners that have been trying to utilise that access, rear access on blocks that they have. So it's been a policy on waiting, so I'm happy to move it so we can get a bit of direction and guidelines around how we operate on these issues.
Thank you, Councillor Simpson. Councillor Walsh-Muller, any further comments?
Councillor Simpson summed it up. Thank you.
Okay, there's no one against that motion. That motion has carried. 12.6 is the tender outcome for tree watering services, with the officer's recommendation on page 123. There's a council accept the tender submitted by Poinciana Nursery as the most advantageous tender to form a contract offered under RFT 24, and authorise the CEO to execute a contract with Poinciana Nursery subject to any variations of a minor nature. Someone like to move this motion? Councillor Furlong. Anyone second the motion? Councillor Roots. Anyone against this motion? Councillor Johansson. Okay, Councillor Furlong, would you like to speak for the motion?
Well, it's good that it's a local company that we're supporting, but for me, more importantly, I love the fact that we have trees, and let's continue to keep these trees established so that we can plant more trees.
Trees is always the sector. Councillor Johansson, would you like to speak against the motion?
It's just something I've said before. I want to see it become an in-house, job role, not outsourced. It's got to be a better way than paying this much a month for tree watering services.
Okay. So,
Speak for the motion.
Yes.
Yeah, I think most fronts is great, because I understand we have gone through a large type of planting just recently, and those trees will mature over time. So it does give the council a bit of flexibility at the moment until they get set of their roots and grow a bit more, and get out of that nursery stage. And once they come established, you guys then slowly win them off, and the water would come down less. Of course, it's just I look at it as a temporary as we work through slowly to bring it back online to get it all bigger. Just stand up.
Director of Projects and Infrastructure. Can you give us any information on sort of employment levels as to Councillor Johansson's request around bringing this in house or bringing or contracting it out? And I guess the levels of staffing we have. I know that we've been struggling a lot of the parks and garden space, particularly after a lot of rain events with weeds, for example, just so everyone understands where we're at and why we make these sort of decisions to go out for tender for services.
Yes, through the chair, when we did some preliminary analysis about bringing the service in-house, we identified that we would need new plant, obviously a watering truck as such, and more than likely require the services of 2 additional staff in a market that's already quite tight to deliver. So it's one of those services that we look to supplement our own staff with. And financially, it didn't make a great deal of sense of necessarily bringing it in-house for a period of time.
That's Phil. Any more to say for the motion?
Just that I hope it continues to roll, not like Councillor Simpson. Yes, these trees are starting and getting established now, but I would hope that we would have the next batch of trees planted. So I think it's a local company that we're supporting. We can't do it in-house. I'm happy with that.
Councillor Johansson, any more to add commentary against the motion? No. We'll put to a vote. All those for the motion? So, against the motion? 1. That is passed. 8. Carried. We're using that word. Carried 8-1. Okay. 13 is the Chief Executive Officer reports. Seen that? Right. Okay. With the officer's recommendation on page 131, and that is that council note the following information items: 13.1.1 community experiences update, 13.1.2 concession on fees of student facilities, 13.1.3 the developer services update, and 13.1.4 the youth advisory group update, all within February and March 2025. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Roots, someone to second the motion? Councillor Bush and Muller. Anyone against the CEO reports? No. Councillor Roots, would you like to speak for?
Just another real quick one. I think with such a really active cyclone season for the first time, or more so than living memory for me up here, I think it's a testament to how much it can really put a stop to everything and affect us as an organisation. So I think it's a really good wake-up call for cyclone readiness. And thanks for the report.
Thank you, Councillor Roots. Councillor Watersby, would you like to speak for?
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Roots. And I suppose the main thing that stood out to me is that we actually finally got some more Meet the Street parties over Christmas, because I know we've been trying to push that for quite a while. It was good it came back in December, but we haven't had any since, so maybe it's time to address it.
Oh, yes, it is the year school season's back. New people come to town. You know, someone might take it up. There is a budget to provide sausages that we'll pay for, so if anyone's interested. Okay, there's no one against, then that motion has been carried. 14 is no motions of which previous notice has been given. 14.1 was notice of motion from Councillor Johansson about approving off-lease dog area communication, which has been withdrawn. 14.2 is the notice of motion for recycling bin non-compliance and alternative waste management solution. At the request of the CEO, this item has been deferred until the next council meeting to allow sufficient time for the city staff to respond and to be repaired for the officer's comment. Right. I have someone move that. 14.2 is your request. So I think I need someone to move a second.
No, I don't think so.
Because it's
it's a notification to councillors to effectively is not on the agenda.
Yeah.
And why?
No problems at all. 15 is questions by members of which due notice has been given. So there is none. 16 is urgent business approved by the person presiding or by decision, of which there is none. 17 is matters behind closed doors, to vacate the public opportunity. None. See how confusing this? Okay, 18, closure and date of next meeting. So the meeting has closed at 7:05 p.m. with the next ordinary council meeting to be held on Monday, the 26th of May at 6 p.m. here at Council Chambers at Walkham Road, Karratha. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Councillor Gillam. You're now able to sign off. If you like.
I am.